Feels good to be back.
Yes, sir.
Back in the seat for sure.
I'm going to let you kick it off, man.
Man. Glad to be back here.
Yeah.
Another episode of Therapy Bros for sure. We reference a lot the Toolkit. So I wanted to kind of have an episode where we kind of dive into that a little bit.
Where did that originate from?
I'm always coming up with stuff like that. I'm always just saying stuff. It was in therapy, I think, is when I was in therapy, kind of talking about just building a toolkit. And I'm not even sure where that really came from, but I think it was just in therapy. Like it's just kind of the metaphor of what I was looking to do.
Yeah, because I remember you just started referencing it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, I wonder where that originated from, because it fits so perfectly with
sure.
all the different things that we need.
Yeah. I probably heard it from somewhere else. I mean, if I figured it out, I'll give credit to the credits too. But I definitely borrowed it and kind of made it my own for sure. Just as far as the aspect of like kind of building the attributes or building in the character moments or just, changing stuff out or fixing stuff. Like you feel like you need tools to fix a issue. And in this instance, it was just more or less a metaphor for that. I went into therapy like for some serious work. So I knew it was like some serious maintenance work. As far as fixing some things and then like building some things out. Because we talked about that too in therapy. And I think that's where I'm learning now to kind of move that toolkit from just trying to like fixing stuff that I felt like was an issue. And now the things are like kind of maintained or fixed. It's also maintaining, but then also like building out. So like building out some of the new things.
Really quick, and I don't want to sidetrack us, but like
sure.
what you just talked about just reminded me of like something I saw on Instagram the other day. Do you think it's better to work on your worst attribute or to start focusing on your best attributes? And I'm trying to think how they worded it. Is it better to devote your assets, or is it better to devote your time and your efforts towards your strengths or your weaknesses?
Man, that's tough. I would probably say weaknesses, because like strengths, if you're 100% at one thing, but then like a 50 or something, like that could be the thing that holds you back.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times life is cyclical until you kind of like pass those tests. So it's like 100 and a 50 is a F. I think what they average out to, or maybe
75.
Like a C, I guess. So if you have enough of those things to balance out, I guess I was thinking of a zero. We think about like at school assignments where you can get all the A's, perfect A's, and then you get like a zero on a thing, and it can just like really drag that down. So I feel like that's kind of that same concept where like you can have some of the best attributes. You can be like ambitious, and you can be smart and savvy, but if discipline is the one that's the Achilles heel, good luck.
Yeah.
It's like it's gonna eventually catch up.
I agree with you. I think focusing on the weaknesses are going to yield better results just because you'll get marginal returns by focusing on those strengths. But if you start devoting that effort to some of those things that you're deficient in, you can have leaps and bounds and then start fine-tuning other things. But I was just curious. It was just completely random.
No, for sure. That is, I think a lot of people, again, I know for me, I was more or less working on the weaknesses when I was first in therapy. And that definitely, man, I think what's harder about that is like with something you're already good at, you feel like you're probably going to see, more results because you're good at it. So you're feeling good about that. When you're bad at something, like you're not going to get that the first time probably. So it's like, how many failures do you feel like you're like accomplishing anything, or like how long do you stay on that, or, adjusting and figuring out like, what tools work. And for me, I think the biggest tool was just, being able to slow down my processing. That was a really, really big one for me. And I guess I can explain kind of what I mean by the tools. So for me, the tools are like ways that I manage my emotions. I often say that to me, I feel like, and I don't know whether this is true or not or the school of thoughts on this, but to me, emotion and ration kind of mostly sit on the scale like they oppose each other. So the more emotional I am, normally the less rational I am, and opposite. So like for me, it's like when I'm emotional, I'm gonna react, and it's just gonna be like I'm feeling that because that's that notification like something is wrong. So I feel that something is wrong, and I want to react. But like if I take the time to like rationalize it and think through it, now I can like actually respond and like give it the proper, just kind of give it the proper time to sit and see what it is. Like I don't like to move. I've always kind of been like that since. I guess I've not always been like that. I learned that because in my teenage years, I was very like loose and flippant and very like, if I feel it, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because it came up, it must got to come out. But then you get to like them early 20s and you start to see like the late teens like develop, like the stuff, the seeds you plant, you start to see them come up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like that fruit. It's like, so then I go to the opposite side and I feel like I used a lot of reason, but I was just like then you can get into overthinking and just like really, I had kind of iced out the emotion, so it was really just like being very cold and methodical, and that honestly didn't land me much better either. So it was definitely like finding that balance of like you felt something because something was off, but like you got to slow that down, but then you don't want to get too far into your head about it.
Make it plain, because I'm with you, because I feel like I tried to balance that scale as well. But it's so hard in certain moments not to react out of emotion and to think, okay, well, let me see how can I approach this logically or kind of remove like the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Like
so for me, that's just time.
Okay.
So for me, it's slowing down, doing anything. So if I'm angry about something, I don't necessarily want to have a conversation right away. If I gotta have some part of the conversation, then we just let's not get to like the full nitty gritty. Like, hey, if I'm feeling away, I don't really, can we table this, please? Or can we just get to like, a little bit of it and like table it so I can get a second to kind of gather what I want to say? Because speaking in that moment, words is something you can never get back.
True.
And you can be feeling something in the moment that can be completely not true, or it could be completely true, but not need to be said or served in a certain way. Like if I'm angry, I can be speaking the truth, but because of the way I'm serving it, it's going to come out like harsh, or it's going to come out poisonous. And it's just depending on who I'm interacting with. Like the people you're interacting with, like especially the people that are closer to you, you don't want to be harming them because you're in a moment of emotion or you're like fired up or whatever. It's like, so it's just taking that time to like let that fire die down a little bit. So I feel like that is one of my biggest tools, is like, I'm angry about this, but like, am I gonna be this angry in 30 minutes and 3 days? Like, who knows? And so it's different, because anytime it's just something if I'm dealing with myself, then of course I got that time. But if it's something where I'm interacting with someone else, they may not want to give me the grace to like, they may want to be handled, because a lot of people are like, they want to handle it right now. They want to handle it when it comes up.
That's how I am.
Yeah, some people can handle that. It's not really for me.
Yeah.
But so I kind of explain, how does that feel for you as far as like, does it fester if you hold on to it?
It does, because I don't like the tension.
Okay.
So like, if there's an issue, like I don't like dancing around it per se, like especially if I'm feeling very strongly about something. So I think this typically is going to come up more in like, relationships with my wife. Like, but I still think I do a good job of thinking before I talk, because like you said something before, is like, man, you just can't unring that bell. And like certain things, especially in those heated arguments, like you might say something, that's how you feel, but you don't want the other person to know that's how you feel. But once you let that out, like you can't take it back.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm really big on words. And it's like the old sayings, like, people tell you the truth when they drunk and when they upset.
Absolutely.
So like, if that's how you really feel, then we have another problem. So I do want to address things, but I think in like any type of communication, I'm very cognizant of my words, because I do realize like the value and like the weight that they carry.
Yeah. I think I am as well, and that definitely came from my teen years too. Because I used to be very like, they'll get over it. That used to be my phrase, like, I'm gonna say what I feel, and you'll get over it. I'm telling you the truth, and it's the truth, so you'll get over it. But it's
I wish people can witness some of the conversations that I've been in the car for. And I'm like, yo, Q, it's like, Q, you really, that's how you giving it up? Like,
man, you just be straight, pure honesty. That just comes from foolishness. That was just a young, foolish kid, like not knowing. And for me, I remember like around it's probably like 17, 18. I took this family trip, and it was it was a real proud moment for me because I was like, I had got my license, and they let me drive. I drove like a 18-hour trip. It was my first really, really big drive. But like on that trip, I was having some girl issues, and it was some girl problems. But it was really like I had said a bunch of stuff in the moment, and it was those eggs was hatching. I'm like, man, the first time I'm like really sitting with the fact that like I really put. I really harmed somebody's feelings like really, really bad. And it was like, I can't get that back. So I'm having this long conversation. We're talking. And it's just, you can't get it back. You said it. So like now, like you said, we had an additional problem to whatever we were dealing with. It's like now you handled them wrong. Like you were being flippant with your words. You're being, insensitive. And it's like, we're also 17, 18. So like, you don't have as much wisdom in like navigating that stuff. And the way that just, I mean, that set on me pretty hard. I'm like, okay, well, I gotta figure that out because like you learn how much power your words have, and then also being on the other side of the fence. Like the first time somebody serve you what you've been serving everybody else is what will make you like, is that how I've been? Like that's what it feel like when when that happens. So that's another tool that I try to use a lot, and that's trying to place myself in the other person's perspective, and not like. What would I do if I was on that side? No, like what are they actually experiencing? Like how close can I get to knowing what they're experiencing? Like what do I know? What context do I know about them, about how they handle situations or stuff like that? What do I know that allows me to think more like them? Like what are they experiencing?
That's a good point. And I think with any type of relationship, friends, family, spouse, partner, whatever, it's going to be very important to try to be objective, in that thought process. So when you said that, that's kind of like, and I have not perfected it yet, but I do know I practice it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to at least empathize where somebody's coming from. Right? You try to hear all the different sides so that you can have a holistic response to whatever it is that they're saying.
Yeah.
And I think, back in the day, it used to be like, okay, this is how I think. You don't think that way? Like, okay. And like, I'm throwing him under the bus. My god brother, Al. Yeah. Name drop him. Because he helped to shape the person I am for good or bad. Right? So,
yes, sir.
But one of the things, like, whenever we would argue, it was always turned into a debate. And his thing is he's going to try to, maybe I'm going to have to edit his name out. I want to, but it's, whenever you argue with him, what he's going to do is try to take your point and just make you seem dumb.
Unravel it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, you think this?
Yeah.
And like, I think I learned that from him too. It's like, you never get wrapped up in the emotions. So like people can try to press your buttons and stuff. Just keep that level head because that's what's going to really send them off.
It's going to send you off the edge. Yeah. And that used to be my thing is like, especially with like, for me, I think a part of my upbringing, and we'll probably get into this in some other episodes is like, I was always longing for that, like, especially with the older cousins, older, brother type stuff like that. You're always longing for that, like, acceptance. So, like, when they say something like, you thinking like that? I'm like, wait, am I not supposed to be thinking like that? Like, how am I supposed to be thinking? And it's like, I know for me, I picked up a lot of traits and characters and stuff that I had to dump off later. Like, why? Yeah. Somebody told me this one time and I held on to it this whole time. And it was not even any close to, like, what the real truth was. Yeah. And it's like, we do so much of that as youth.
Yeah,
man, it's like
think.
Yeah, group exactly. Like everybody thinking the same way, and like not you feel it. Like you like I don't quite think that, but everybody else do it. So it's kind of one of the things you go along with. And I want to say that I think you definitely do a good job of like that's how I feel like when we have conversations. Like when I'm having a conversation with you, I feel like you're gonna ask me if there's something that you're not like seeing the way I'm seeing it. You're gonna ask me a second question about it, or like more additional questions. Like okay, well you feel like this, but like is that because of this or that, or like you're angry, but is it for which reasons or stuff like that? And I feel like that is a good way to kind of get that context so you can, like you said, respond like from the most information you have and try to be as helpful as you can.
Yeah, one of the classes that I took back in grad school was like a management class, and they was talking about like healthy conflict. I think growing up, I always shied away from conflict because it's like, oh my gosh, things are gonna, fall apart. Or if we're arguing, like I think there's a negative connotation that's associated with it. Yeah, conflict's not bad.
Yeah, right.
If it's handled in a healthy manner, I should say. But like a lot of times, people don't know how to handle it in a healthy.
And it's like conflict because emotions start rising and like you pressing, but you try to say something, they try to say something, and then like if it's getting misconstrued, it's like it's so many ways to get off the path. And I think a lot of times the thing is like the biggest problem in conflict is that like a lot of times both sides aren't coming to conflict looking for a resolution.
Exactly.
Because it's like if you're looking for a resolution, then I might not understand what you're saying, but like we're looking to end this like you're saying in a healthy manner, and we just trying to understand each other. But a lot of times somebody on one side or both sides is not really trying to come to a resolution. They really just want to, like you said, either get their point or dig at yours, like like you were saying with the other example.
And that's, I think, it's always interesting when you're in therapy and then you kind of get put into these scenarios and now you have to test out those tools that you've been building. So it's kind of like a player coach, like you in the game playing, but then you're also trying to coach like, how do I navigate through this? And I know one of the things that I do, and I'm trying to do better at it, is when somebody's like presenting their side, I'm eager to like, oh, wait, no, hold on, like, but like not letting them get their point out. And I was like, I recognize myself doing it, but I can't stop it. Just because I think this kind of goes back to like my core. One of the things I hate is just being misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like if I'm trying to say something and you're not getting it, then I want to make sure that you at least get it so that you're working with the full picture. But then that can come across in a conversation as I'm trying to dominate the conversation or I'm cutting you off X, Y, and Z. And maybe it's a mixture of the both, but that's just one of the things, like, man, like as you're going through therapy, to try to apply it in real time. And then sometimes if you're trying to apply your therapy tools and this other person got the guns out.
Yeah. So it's literally bringing a knife to a gunfight. It's like, man, how many of these bullets can I block with this sword? Like, not many.
And we had this conversation before, me and you, because you was like, sometimes, because you are in so many different circles. I was like, man, like sometimes people talk to you and like you're approaching it from a very rational. I'm like, wait, you're doing like, how are you not going back at this person?
Yeah.
You had said to me like, man, I'm just trying not to add more fuel to the fire right now. And
that's definitely
that's a maturity
tool,
thing, bro.
Man, that's it was just seeing it. I seen it in real action. Like you just watch something like it's on fire, but you're like, if I don't add nothing to it, how long will it be on fire? You just can see people like kind of come down sometimes, and sometimes they don't, but it's like, for me, it was less about them and more about me. What I learned about myself is like when I get riled up, it take a long time to come down, and I don't like how that feels. My heart rate's up. I'm antsy. All that other stuff, and I'm just not feeling well. And like learning, kind of late 20s is probably when. That's when I start having like some like health concerns and stuff, and like right along with that was blood pressure, and I started learning about blood pressure and it being high and stress levels and like how to deal with your heart. And I'm like, well, like I've seen people go out of here early, check out of here early from stress, and like so I was like, also I don't want to fuel that flame, but I don't want to get close enough to that fire for it to jump off on me, because it's like, man, if I get tied up into this now, I would also use another phrase. If both people getting in the mud, we ain't gonna never get clean. So like we both jumping in the mud, you jump in the mud, you flinging mud, I'm flinging mud. If I don't stay out of the mud, we're never gonna get like clean out of this situation. And it's hard.
Okay, because that's
okay.
No.
I
needed you to say that
part.
Okay. Because it comes down to like the fairness of it. Like, man, like I don't want to be somebody's punching bag.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to handle this respectfully and like hold my tongue and like not escalate the situation. But this person's striking matches and throwing it on the fire. And it's like, but it's on you because you've been in therapy to be like, okay, well, I don't want to get elevated. I don't want to, do X, Y, and Z. But it's like going back to like that old saying, a lot of times people go to therapy to deal with people who aren't in therapy.
Yeah.
And it's not fair.
Yeah, it don't feel fair. And I do so, and I think we've talked about this too before. So for me, in the punching bag thing, that's what reminded me of it. Because that's the one thing I always kind of set my mind on, that I'm not gonna be a punching bag. So we can spar. I might have the gloves up and I'm gonna let you hit the gloves while you getting yours out. But like, I ain't gonna use my face to do that. So for me, I'm like, I set a line where like, okay, now we going a little too far. And I will. So I always say I reserve the right to defend myself. So if I feel like now I'm at the point where like, okay, it's getting too much for me, I'm gonna back you off of me. I'm gonna try to do it as nice as possible and kind of, probably remove myself from the situation and say, hey, can we put some time between us? Can we add somebody to the conversation? or can we just do this without the heat? Like, that's normally the questions I'm asking, which piss people off. That's what I also learned too. When you're in therapy, people don't like your therapy brand. They don't really like therapy me in conflict, because it's easier to just piss somebody off, say the things you want to say, take your punches, and then who cares about if we resolve the conflict? Like, I was mad, I got to punch you, let's move on. Yeah. It's like, man, for me, that's rarely the case. I really just want to get my rocks off and move on. Like, I want to come to some like kind of conclusion, or I just want to be clear headed.
True. And I think it's, once again, if the goal is the resolution, it's very, very hard when people like pressing your buttons.
Yeah.
And the way that we grew up, we know how to press people's buttons,
for sure.
though, and like to have that restraint. And I think in like all those areas, it's just tough. Yeah. At least for me, that's something I'm still dealing with. But like, I think as I've gotten older, or like these more recent years, I've been kind of embracing like some of those tougher conversations. You know, a lot of stuff goes unsaid. I'm just not there. And if having a tough conversation is going to end this relationship or this friendship, then what are we really standing on in the first place?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if I don't feel like I can have open, honest, transparent conversations with you about how I'm feeling or how your actions are landing on me, then this is probably a situation I need to remove myself from.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's kind of part of it for me. Also, I also like kind of notice, again, because we were button pressers. So it's I also can see that. So it's like sometimes people try to act like they're not trying to press your buttons, but it's like, nah, we used to press buttons for a living. We did it because it was fun, because we knew we could get a laugh out of it. Yeah. So we know how to press buttons. So I know when you try to press my buttons, and for me, that's another tool. The second I like see that you're like acting out, for me, like as you elevate, normally I get calmer, because I'm like, oh, you trying to pull me into this, so I will pull myself out of it entirely. Just be like, okay, I'm gonna chill and let you kind of crash out on your own, because I don't want to get involved in that. And you know, every once in a while it don't work, and you do get pulled into it, and then it's one of the moments where you like, how did I? You just, everybody can get you. There are people who can get under your skin, and so it's like. Another thing about the toolkit is that it's definitely not absolute. Like, it don't. Sometimes you pull out the tool and it just don't work. Some people just absolutely are gonna find a way under your skin. I know one thing that's always probably gonna get under my skin is like when I feel like we're doing extra stuff that is not necessary. Like I hate rules that I feel like are stupid or just don't make any sense. I'm like, this stuff, like, it's just not logical, and I'm just like, man, there's just, for me, it's always like I want to do things in the most like best, efficient, effective way, and I understand that that's not always possible, but it does always get up under my skin.
Yeah.
So it's like that was another tool that doesn't work as often, where I'm just like, just do what you came to do. Like, don't get involved with the logistics of it. But I learned some Virgo traits. I'm learning some stuff that I just, that is just me. And it's like, that's, as a, like, I call myself like a problem solver, or like, a troubleshooter. Like, that's how my brain works. Like, well, I'm upset about this, but like, can we talk about why, like, this doesn't work? Like, is there a reason we can't change this? But some rules are just there and you can't change them. And it's like, accepting that, not fun at all.
I see that a lot in like the workplace or like in the church or wherever you're active in. It's like sometimes we do this because this is how it's always been done.
Yeah.
Well, it's been wrong.
Right. So like, if it's wrong, we're just going to keep being wrong. And it's crazy because it just seems like by and large, the general crowd is kind of okay with that. Like, we've decided this is the way we're doing it. It can be obvious that it's wrong, and like, if there's not enough people on the other train, we just will all stay over here, and it's kind of an interesting phenomenon. But it's just, I think for people, the idea of change is really hard. Like, even when we talk about those like hard conversations, typically, for me, all of the conversations that I assumed were going to be harder, like, once you in there, it can get tense and you can get emotional, you can kind of get nervous about what's going to happen, but those conversations have never been as hard as I was like perceiving them to be.
Yeah, I think this always is the unknown that makes those conversations a little bit tougher. And then also, like, you have to kind of look at yourself in some of those scenarios, especially like if I'm bring it back to like relationships. Yeah. Like if it's talking to a friend and they telling me that I've been moving a certain way that they not really feeling. Yeah. Well, then I'm going to have to look myself in the mirror like, well, have I been doing it?
Have I?
And then even if I don't feel like I've been doing it, they feel that way.
They're experiencing that,
So you can't, I mean, they're justified in it, whether it's right or wrong. So a lot of times it's that unknown, it's that I'm messing up. Like I don't know, how to phrase that.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely, I know the place the tool that I need the most is the approach to those like hard conversations at times. A lot of times for me, I'm like trying to figure out like what's the best way to say it. Like I don't want this to come off wrong. I don't want this to be received wrong. And also like if we're in like, relationship wise, if I'm in like a good space in a relationship, I'm like, even though there might be some things that are on my mind, I don't want to ruin this good space. Like I'm having a good time. And it's like, but in not doing that, you build and build and build. And then when I explode, it's like, and I've had this happen. I know you have conversations with people I've been involved with where they're like, this came out of nowhere. And I'm like, well, it didn't come out of nowhere, but I haven't been saying it. And that's always where I have to go back and apologize and be like, that's a knock on me. I promise you, like, that is just me. Like, I avoid conflict too. And that definitely come back from my childhood. I just did not ever like conflict. I just didn't like it. And learning how to, that was a very intentional part of therapy. That is one of the first reasons I went to therapy, was to like find my voice in those moments. Like, because for me, we always talk about like the general adage is like picking your battles. Yeah. And that's normally like meaning you're picking too many battles and you need to pick fewer battles. But for me, picking my battles meant there are battles that you have to fight. And if you don't fight, it's being fought. You're in the fight. Yeah. Like, you could punch or not punch. You're in the fight. So you can just keep getting punched. But it's like, sometimes you do have to choose battles. And it was like, man, for me, I was so anti-conflict that it was a tough one. But that was definitely like knowing when you just got to speak up. And that's even currently. Like I'm just coming fresh off of some instances where it's like, man, I should say something or I should. And then it gets too late or it gets heated. And then now it just starts heated. And a lot of times you can lose like the conversation because now you're coming to it with like too much heat and you're not able to, really get anywhere. So I think that's one of the tools that I definitely kind of am embracing in this next season of like just being able to approach those as a conversation and not let it get to the point where it's a blow up or it's a blowout or it's like it's a surprise. Like, no. As I'm feeling that, kind of explaining that, hey, this is growing. I feel like this is going somewhere, like catching something early.
And I feel like the way that you approach those conversations is going to be different based on who you're having those conversations with as well. Like, I'm pretty sure, like with some of the guys, like, yo, we need to talk about X, Y, and Z, like, and we could just go right into the conversation. Versus like with my wife, I can't do that, right? Because, just our history of like me being very abrasive or like direct or like my tone, like all those types of things, I gotta have to ease into it. And like we actually had a disagreement a couple of weeks ago. And she was telling me, she was like, even if what you were saying was right, like your approach to the whole conversation was just wrong. Like it's just something that you're constantly having to fine tune. Like,
for sure.
It's like, sharpening those tools along the way. Like, okay, I thought I was doing it right, but I guess I'm not. But I'll know how to do it better the next time around.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a perfect segue into like the biggest misconception that I learned about the toolkit is that it doesn't have to be fine-tuned because you do like when I first got the toolkit, I was like, when I first applied it, it started working so well. And I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna get to a space where I can like set the toolkit down. And that was the silliest thing I've ever thought because it is like everything's going really well, really well. You're like, okay, well I can set this down for a second. And the second you set it down, like that's just like the human experience. Like it's the same kind of stuff that triggers you, but it is like it's always kind of elevating some. So like once you get it a little bit, then they come a little bit stronger. You have to kind of, like you said, you fine tuning those tools. And that's why I feel like even with therapy, like it's just a constant walk. Like you might not be going as frequently in the seasons where you don't feel like you're, actively working on something or actively going through something. But man, if you don't do them check-ins, you're going to be back, going through something bigger because it's like you just don't perfect it. And that
reminds me of like when, like for lawyers and doctors, they always call it a practice, right? Yeah. Because you're constantly, things are constantly changing. Yeah. We as individuals are constantly changing. So the things that bothered me 5 years ago aren't going to bother me now. Like things that don't bother me now might bother me in a couple years as like things kind of change and like the people are changing around you. Your scenarios is changing, like kids, family, like everything is so dynamic to the point where if you try to remain static in like how you're approaching it, then you're just going to kind of fall by the wayside because, you can't bring that flathead when you need a Phillips or
Yeah.
vice versa. You know, it's just tough. So you got to make sure that you're constantly updating that toolbox. I don't think I know anybody who has the exact same tools in their toolbox for the past 30 years. You're constantly adding new tools.
For sure.
Power tools,
Power
right?
tools,
Things that help you get there a little bit more efficiently,
Exactly.
man. And I love the whole analogy of the toolbox because when I first started getting into like some more handy things like a couple of years ago, I never had a toolbox.
Yeah.
So the first thing I went and bought was like a little flathead screwdriver and a power drill. But like now over time, I'm just adding more and more things.
Yeah.
I got like a little painter's tool. So it's like a little 5-in-1 tool. I could take baseboards off with that little thing right there. Or I can get my crowbar.
Yeah.
Right? I can get it done a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So it's like not only building that toolbox, but knowing what the situation calls for.
For sure. And that's the other reason why I feel like you have to be always fine tuning it, because it just becomes, that's the thing that you can get better at, is knowing what tools work for what situation. And that comes with also like self-awareness. And that's,
oh my gosh,
I know that's the biggest piece of everything you do.
Yeah.
It's like the better you know yourself, just the better everything is going to go. Because it's like you knowing the tools to use, knowing the tools to bring to the situation, knowing even when like, okay, this tool ain't working. Like I for sure, like there's times where I'm trying to pull myself away and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not actually cool it down. Like this is really still burning. So it's like for me, okay, I got to go to a different tool. Like if I'm not able to calm myself down, now I'm probably going to call one of my rational friends and like, hey, this is bothering me. And I can't get this off of me. Like, is this something I'm missing? Is a reason why this is really sticking in? And then if my friends ain't working, it's time to call Auntie and like get into a session. Like, hey, I done tried all the stuff we normally try, and like this has got to be sitting deeper or digging deeper. And a lot of times it's just like that is triggering something that is like deeper or something that's unaddressed, or is like, because the tools typically work, you know, when you're managing something that you've been managing or that you've been addressing, like, because you can kind of normally grab right at it. But like if it's something that is hiding, or it's just like, you know, it's like we were talking about, I think in the first episode where you lifting and you contorting and it's like you feeling it here, but I was lifting my arms. It's like, but because you don't realize that stuff kind of travel and it can kind of be very indirect at times. And I think that's the challenge, definitely, of self-awareness, of fine tuning, of the toolkit, of all of it. And I think that is what probably sometimes scare people away too, because it's like, well, if I'm not gonna get it right all the time, why am I even spending my time on it? But
yeah, like you said, it's something that you're perfecting over time. You know, you're constantly gonna have to be working at it. And self-awareness, I think that's key.
Yeah.
And for me, like I've been trying to, as I'm feeling these emotions, recognizing like where they're coming from, and then also allowing myself to kind of feel those things. Like, like it's okay for me to be upset about this. Like, even if this person doesn't agree with it, it's okay for me to take that as a slight.
Yeah.
Now, how we address it and going forward is going to be something that we have to come together on. But like, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to have those emotions, because I think as you start digging a little bit deeper, then that's where like those emotions are going to come in instead of just thinking logically, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure, logically. Yeah, I think for me that's one of the things that I had to learn in the church space. Because I'm an employee of these churches, like there are situations where you growing up as a kid, you learn so much reverence and respect for all of the people who hold titles and the people who are, you know, pastors and preachers and all, you know, all of that type of stuff. But then when we become employers, like there's just some things, like you say, some things are done and you should take offense to it because it's done. It has been done, and not that you take offense to react or whatever, but like, that might mean you need to remove yourself, or we need to have a meeting where we need to address what happened.
Yo, shout out to Renaud, because he was just talking about that on his podcast.
Yeah,
he was like,
sure.
a lot of time.
He been spit, man. Shout out, bro. Little bro been big bro, and like you been owned it.
Man, because I just seen that clip this morning too. He was like, you know, back in the day, like you said, we had this reverence for individuals or family members. That's just how such and such is, so you got to deal with it. But as you get older, no, I'm trying to protect my peace. Yeah. So if this doesn't align with how I see my life going or like what brings me peace, no, I'm gonna have to distance myself from it.
Yeah.
And, you know, shout out to my sister too, because my older sister Dominique, she was one of the ones that like really taught me the importance of like, hey, if that's not healthy for you, you don't have to stay in it, right? So you can protect your peace at all costs, at all costs, no matter whose feelings is gonna hurt. But like if people are showing you or their colors in a certain way and that doesn't align, or they're being really disrespectful, you don't have to keep entertaining that just because that's what we are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Nah, man, I'm quick to cut somebody off now.
Man, I'm getting quicker.
Yeah.
And for me, the thing that I've learned in older age is that it don't have to be public. They don't even have to know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes addressing it is just the removal. Like, and I don't have to publicly do it. I don't have to even privately do it. Like, it's just, I can just remove myself from that situation. And they'll know, like, I'm not around anymore. So it's like, you don't, like, again, like you're saying, you don't have to give people the opportunity and the space to keep, offending you or to keep doing stuff that is slighting you or that you feel like it's harming you, whether it be physical or emotional or financially or, however. It's like, you don't have to allow people into your space to do that. Family, friends, preachers, pastors, everybody.
It's like as we get older, man, you realize, and I think you become a little bit more cognizant of like your time, and you just don't have the time for the extra stuff, man. Like, so if somebody shows me like their colors or their intentions, I know where to place you now.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
So like you said, sometimes it doesn't have to be like a full cutoff, but like you're not getting a text message to come through for game night or like it's just certain things like that. Like I'm very comfortable now with walking away from things that don't serve.
Yeah, that's definitely like for me that is, or just in general, I believe that's like that's an upgraded version of the toolkit. So like with the toolkits, they come in different styles. Yeah. So I know when I got my first toolkit, it was a little bag. It's just a bag and everything goes in there. There's no separate nothing. It might be a zipper, but it's just everything's in the bag. So sometimes you go in there, you got to feel through the bag to feel what you're getting. But like you get those other ones that are like the metal ones where they have drawers and every drawer has like what it's supposed to have. And it's like as we get older, like placing people in the right place is everything because a lot of people don't have to be thrown away, but like as you said, you're not coming to the group kick it. Like we not there.
We
but
know
like
what energy you're about to bring. Yeah.
So you just not coming to that. And it's like knowing where to place people without having to completely throw people away. I know we talked on a different podcast with our friend Alex, and he feels really strongly about like not throwing people away. And he very, I feel like sometimes almost his own detriment will hold on to people, but it's just like he sees the good in people.
He does. And
he does a very good job of placing them in the proper place and somehow not taking things personally.
Yes, that's a skill that I don't have.
Man, that's a skill that I'm learning a little bit as I just learned that people are going to disappoint you. You hear it all the time. People are going to disappoint you. And then it's like people that you never expected to disappoint you. After you get through that a couple times, you're like, man, people just really care. It's like, they going through stuff. I'm going through stuff. Sometimes they don't mean it. Sometimes I'm misinterpreting it. But it's a part of life. It's going to happen. And it sucks every time, especially when it's somebody you never see or somebody you didn't expect or like somebody you really looked up to or like, really wanted to meet. Like if there's years you want to meet somebody and you meet him and they're a jerk, like that's tough. But it's also, that's life. So like the best thing you could do is like kind of brace yourself for it, become acquainted with yourself and just like, being solid in, who you are and learning that like, keeping the people around you in your circle that are important to you, that the things that are important to you are important to them, or they know how to respect the things that are important to you, and and vice versa. Because again, I've said this before, like your support and the people that see for you are the people that's closest to you. So they're the people who help inform your decisions because we do all lean on other people. There's almost none of us who make our decisions alone. Like we're all being influenced. And at times we all are like, look, I'm not seeing this clearly, so I got to ask somebody else. So the people that I got to be asking, again, I want them to have my interests, my best interests at heart, or at least what they feel like is, my best interest, or, what in align with what we are, what I'm saying I want for my life.
And I think that's why, because you had mentioned it earlier, you said like if you can't shake something, you're going to call one of your rational friends or you're going to call auntie and schedule a session. So just, I love that I didn't mention it while you said it, but like not holding on to that, because I think previously we would have just internalized all that stuff and then just been in a funk for like a few days.
Yeah, for sure.
But like to try to get that off of you because like what it can do to you, like your body and like the stress and everything. But going back to like having those right people around you, it's imperative, I feel like, for growth.
Yeah.
Because like if I'm dealing with something, I know I'm gonna reach out to you, Portis, me and Avery. Like I know the people that I'm going to reach out to because y'all know me and y'all know how I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Like, even if I'm completely wrong, you'll be like, Dev, like, I know what you're thinking. This is not that.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's so important.
yeah. And like, just to be able to have somebody that, one, I trust, because like you said, like, you have to be able to hope that whatever you're putting out, they're willing to, one, take on a little bit, but also help you to get that. Almost gonna say, this is a family-friendly podcast. But like, you know, for them to be able to say, like, I understand what you're going through, and like try to help you navigate through it, because that's what we're all doing. And it's like, you'll be that person for somebody else the same way that they are for you.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's so hard for you to kind of remove yourself from certain situations, which is why you need to bounce it off of other people. But
yeah,
having that trust in those other people is also, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough because, you know, with the emotions, certain things just feel so like real. So something can be not true at all, but like that does not affect how you feel about it. Like, and that's the same thing we're talking about when we're getting stuff misconstrued. Like, whether I said it wrong or whether you received it wrong, like, it still was however you interpreted that. And it's like, man, and I guess this is a good question. How responsible do you feel for how people receive what you say? Because I feel like that's a tough one for me. And I was just in a disagreement with my wife where she would say I was policing the way she was hearing me, because I was. I'm like, well, I don't want you to miss it. But I kept jumping in front of her. So she's trying to say how she's feeling. And I'm like, no, but I don't think you're getting it. But I don't think you're getting it. And I'm just like really trying to make sure I'm cleaning up as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's like, just let it go, because I gotta say my piece, she gotta say her piece, and then we gotta try to, like, you know, filter through it. Because if I just keep jumping, she's also probably hearing me less and less as I keep jumping in front of her. So we kind of I'm trying to get closer, but we're getting farther because I'm creating more tension by just over policing. It's like, a lot of times, again, if both people are looking for a resolution, yes, we're upset, but the longer we get into the conversation, the love should jump in there at some point. And it's like, this is a person that I love. This is a person that I know is trying to understand me as I'm trying to understand them. So we have two different perspectives, but we're trying to get to the same place. So it's like, at some point that heat start coming out. But
that's a really good question. Yeah. And I think maybe it's like 50-50. Like, you can try to make every effort as possible to try to be as concise and as clear. That's why they tell you in therapy, repeat back to me what you heard, right? And like, it sounds so cliche because it's hard to do that in the moment. Yeah. But like, also with, like you were mentioning, because I already talked about it, like, I do the same thing as like, we don't know, this is what I mean, X, Y, and Z. So what I've been trying to do, and it probably drives people crazy, is if I know that I'm walking into like we're about to sit down and have a discussion, a heated argument or whatever, I have my iPad with me. I'm taking notes. Yeah. So like, I'm gonna let you talk, but I'm gonna write down, because what tends to happen is like, okay, I hear that they're misconstruing what I'm saying, and I want to interject right there. But if I just write down, clear up X, Y, and Z, I'll come back to it after they have said what they had to say, because I don't want to cut them off. Yeah. But man, they talk about, like, with communication, the sender and receiver. Sometimes people can, I don't want to say, like, sometimes they are intentionally, you know, not trying to hear what you're saying, you know, because a lot of times, I've talked about this before, is like, you know, confirmation bias, where like you in an argument or whatever, and people already have these preconceived notions. So no matter how much you try to clear it up, you find an uphill battle. Yeah. But then, are we really looking for resolution then in that situation? Probably not. You just trying to get your rocks off, like you said. So you just got to, going back to what you said, pick those battles. Yeah. If I realize that I'm bringing that knife to that sword fight or that gun fight, and they got rocket launchers like GoldenEye, and I'm here with slappers.
Right, here with slappers.
Slappers only. So yeah, it's that's just hard to navigate. But then I think sometimes when you realize that if you continue to be, you know, tied to that person, then you know how to approach the conversation the next time. Yeah. But I don't know. That's just, I'm all about resolution nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Well, I guess I'm 50-50 on resolution, because what I also learned is, like, some stuff is not getting a resolution. And that was a hard one for me, because I'm like, there's times where I don't want to just fully let that go, but
sometimes that's the resolution, though, that there is no resolution.
Yeah, because what I became really big on is I am not clarifying stuff to people who are determined to, not be clear on what I'm saying. Like, you are determined, like you said, preconceived notions. You've already determined, you've already answered it for you.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to re-answer it for you because you're not hearing me. You're hearing what you wanted to hear. You're going to say what you wanted to say. So tell that story. That's fine. Like, sometimes you just aren't going to, like you said, you aren't going to solve everything. And sometimes that's a good way to look at that. That is the resolution. The resolution is that, like, you're not going to.
It's that agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And like, cause we all know people, you and I, especially like, where you're not changing somebody's mind. No matter what they did, they feel like they're justified in all the actions that they took. And some people might say, okay, well, the intent wasn't to do X, Y, and Z, but the intent and the results.
Your intention is not your execution.
So
it is not, at all. And that's tough. I think for everyone, but definitely for some more than others, because some people that like you said, that are tough to get them to see the error of their ways, to like navigate inside their own head, like you said, and justify everything. They are not looking to be wrong ever, and they're just not wrong. And it's like, man, trying to get them to see clearly, even if you're like giving them the facts, it's like, nah, they're just re-narrating. It's like, man,
dang. That just triggered me right there, bro. Like, I ain't gonna hold you.
You have to take a moment.
I'm not gonna hold you.
Woo! Yeah, that narration get tough at times.
Okay. Yeah.
He said, take a breather on that one.
I've just been having too many tough conversations in the past
lately,
year or so. So like, all that stuff just, I'm already knowing. And we'll kind of wrap it up. But as I kind of think about like some of these tough conversations that we have to have, how good are you at apologizing? Do you apologize even if you feel that you're not wrong?
I think that pisses people off sometimes. Okay. That disagreement I was talking about, like, it came out in explosion mode. Like, it just kind of, I was holding and then it just exploded. And like, that was the first thing I apologized for mid. Like the second she started responding, I was like, uh-oh. I'm attacking her, and I'm not trying to. It's just like it bubbled up, and I'm like immediately like, but she's upset because she feel like I just attacked her. So I'm like, apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry the way this is coming out. Like, I promise you, I will 1,000% work on this. But this is for sure a flaw. But like, it's just to the point where I was holding it because I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to start the conversation, and it was like I was apologizing immediately for that. Like, man, I'm sincerely sorry that like this is the way that this conversation is starting. It should very much have been just we should sit down and talk about this, and that's not how it started. And that was totally me. And so in that instance, I can't be mad that like I threw it wasn't really a punch, but I threw like I threw something, then like a punch came back. I can't be mad that she punched back. No, I caused that. So it was like, I definitely absolutely apologize. And for me, that's something I grew into. I used to say sorry, but I really didn't mean it. Like now I'd be genuine, or I won't say it. Like for me, I'm not gonna say sorry if I'm not sorry. I'll just be like, oh, I'm probably gonna say something like, I'm probably gonna be a jerk if I'm not really sorry. Like, I'm sorry that you felt that way, but not that I'm sorry I did. That's the old me. Yeah. I'm sorry you felt that way when I said something very offensive. Like,
it's like, I'm sorry that you're taking things.
I'm sorry you're taking this the wrong way. Like, I'm glad that I think that me is kind of I'm only joking when I do stuff like that now. Now I really do be genuinely apologetic when I am. I feel like I need to be apologetic, and sometimes even when I don't feel like I need to be apologetic, I'm like, look. If you catch me on the wrong day, I'm definitely sorry for how that came out. Like if I'm carrying, something else, and in that moment I don't get a chance to get to the toolkit, I definitely will like, hey, my bad. That wasn't even a bit for you. You just stepped in front of somebody else's, bullet or whatever. But, yeah.
That'll be a conversation to explore in like other episodes. I was just talking about like they have the 5 love languages, but there's also 5 apology languages. Yeah. So it'd be cool to kind of dive into that because, like I said, sometimes like if not reconciliation, but like you can't come to like what's the word I'm looking for? We just been talking about
resolution.
If we can't come to a resolution, really quickly too, before I know we need to end this because time is piling up, but like I love to hear how other people handle like tense conversations and stuff. But like, if you don't come to like a resolution, I think like legit. I'm really hoping the microphones ain't picking this up.
Yeah.
Let's matter of fact, just because we're already at like 50 minutes.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up. Man, I think like this whole conversation, we can keep going on and on about this conversation, but like I think this is definitely something to revisit in other episodes and talking about like the apology languages and like how you like to be apologized to, because I think that's we haven't talked about it in therapy, at least with my therapist, but like I know it was one of the books that I was looking into reading to just once again try to understand like my self-awareness, like, okay, like if this is an issue for me, like I need to communicate to you, like whoever it is, like how I want it to kind of be resolved. Yeah. Is it just like, okay, like I've offended you or whatever, hey, I'm sorry. Sometimes that's gonna be cool for me. But sometimes it's like, if you like really, really messed up, like, yo, that's my bad. Like I don't ever want to put you in this position again, type of stuff. So it'll be very interesting to kind of dive into those, because I can't remember what all 5 of them are. Yeah,
for sure. Definitely. Because I don't know that I've ever like really assessed that. And that's one of the ways I know for me that people probably get frustrated with me sometimes in conflict, because I'm trying to get out of the conflict. Like, well, how do you want this handled? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to be here again. Yeah. But I don't always know how I want that to be resolved. That's something definitely to work on for sure, because you want to be clear and concise. Because if you're trying to part of coming to a resolution is like clearly knowing what you desire. Yep. And just having that be clear and being bold enough to say it. Like sometimes it's not going to be received well, but if that's what you actually want, it's what you should say. Because what I have been absolutely guilty of is like tapering what I want to say, and then they don't do it, but they didn't do it because I didn't say it clearly enough, and I wasn't concise enough, and I wasn't, I want to pull some of the weight back or pull some of the sting back. And sometimes it's just got to be said, clearly, and it's got to be direct. And some stuff you're not meaning to be harsh, so just don't be harsh. But you still have to say like what your reality is or what your truth is in that moment, and hope that you serve that from a place of I don't know like as soft as possible, or as clear as possible, and try not to be harmful. Like I'm never trying to be harmful with my words, but sometimes what you're saying does hurt or harm or just the other person, or just make them feel a way or whatever, and it's like that's unavoidable sometimes.
I love how you said like you got to be able to communicate those expectations, because if you're not communicating that to this person, well then now they're working with incomplete information, and you're holding them to the standard
that don't exist.
Yeah.
And we all know expectation is the seed that brings disappointment.
And you got them out here trying to change a light bulb on their tippy toes. Yeah. And it's just put them at a disadvantage, and then like the expectations aren't going to get met. So I think that's really important. Definitely something to talk about in some of these future episodes.
Absolutely.
Thank you to everybody who stayed and listened to this entire episode of Therapy Bros. Like, we want to hear you guys' thoughts as well. Like, how do you guys handle conversations that get tense? How have you been building your toolkit up, So make sure to like, subscribe, comment, interact with us so we can interact with y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, they went wild.
They wild.